Welcome to episode number 24 of Me Being Dumb. The series is actually called Profit or Loss, where I take faulty electronic items from eBay, try and fix them, and then sell them for a profit. And I think this week I may have made a mistake, but sometimes it's good to challenge yourself. At least I tell myself that anyway. Be quiet, Joey, and tell us what you've got. In this box, I have another faulty PlayStation 5, and I paid, listen to this, £150 for this PS5. And it's a disc edition. Absolute worst case scenario. Oh, it's got a note. What? Hold on. Just for transparency here, so I bought this off of eBay and it was up for £180 and I offered £150 and got it. I'm now really scared. You wouldn't do that to somebody who was just buying something on eBay, right? Ooh. This seller clearly knows the way to my heart, and that is with food. Nice little touches like this, little Haribo packets, unbelievable. Not only that, but it did come with a note. The note reads, "Dear Joey, enclosed faulty PS5 console." Looking at this, it tells you about the fault as well, which I was going to do and tell you why it was a risky purchase, but our engineers know of your YouTube channel and are a fan of your videos. We hope this one makes the cut. We purchased this console as part of a bulk job lot with other electronics, and unfortunately it wasn't working. We've opened the console and seen that it's had a replacement HDMI port, not the cleanest of work, but does appear to pin out okay. The console turns on, gives 3 beeps, and then back off again. We believe that this could be a faulty HDMI timer IC chip, but due to the cost of buying a replacement on a whim, it's not economical for us to do so. We hope you manage to get it repaired and are interested in seeing you do so. Well, I'm going to let you down already because I'm probably not going to be able to fix it, but I will give it my best shot. They've also included this little holder. Look at that. So what does that mean? That means that the pressure is now on. This repair just got a lot more interesting. Let's get it unboxed and see what condition it's in. But before we do that, a quick word from our sponsor of today's video, PCB Way. PCB Way is your one-stop shop for everything DIY. Create a custom PCB and have your quote in seconds. The ordering process is made super simple with so many different customizable features for your design. They also specialize in CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and injection molding. Why not even go ahead and share your project in the project section of the website? You can't beat PCB Way's prices and express delivery times. Head over to the link in the description for a $5 welcome bonus. One thing I will quickly mention, which is props to this seller, is that they actually included all of this information on the listing. They were completely upfront and honest. What I've just read out, they basically said on the eBay listing, so props to them. As for actual condition of the PlayStation 5, it looks really good. No scratches on the plates either side. However, we do have a fair few scratches on the front bit here. It's always usually expected with the PlayStation 5 due to the finish of this and people trying to plug in the charging cable for their PS5 controller, just like trying to shove it in, you know. First of all, let's confirm that that is the fault. We get 3 beeps and it turns off. I tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to plug in the HDMI. I'm just going to try and turn the console on. Nothing. I got 1 beep, but nothing after that. To make sure I'm not being stupid. So now I get nothing. Give it a few seconds. Oh, it's on. The I can feel the fan at the back, but I don't have any LEDs. But the console's on. Wait, what? Is it still on? It's still on because I can feel the fan. I can hear the disc going. So look, that's on. I am just going to plug. It's still on. I'm going to plug in the HDMI cable. Has been plugged in. The fan is still on. I can still feel the fan, but I can confirm I'm not getting any output. But the PS5 is still on. Look, I press the eject button. The PS5 isn't turning off. I think it is just a no display issue. Maybe those 3 beeps that they were hearing is this, which is me just pressing the eject button. And they're not going to think it's on when they don't see the LEDs and they don't get a display, right? But just by putting my arm at the back of the console just here, I can feel that it's on because I can feel the fan instantly. So I'm now going to turn the console off by holding it down. Yeah, we get the 1 beep. We should get 2 beeps. Okay, so that's the second beep, which means that the console is going to fully shut down. I can't see the lights, so I'm just going to wait maybe like 30 seconds and then I'll pull the power, but we definitely have no display. It's going to be a really good profit if it is just a no display, considering I bought this for £150, but we don't know what damage has been caused on the inside with that HDMI job. Okay, so I'm going to unplug the power. There we go. How are we looking straight off the bat under the hood? Not bad at all. Ah, this is the new board as well. Model wise, it's a CFI 1261A. We are missing a fan screw just here. I think the wrong screw has gone back in here. Yeah, wrong screw's gone back here as well, and there's no screw here. So yeah, we should have 2 screws here that are just gonna fall out essentially. There's 1 and there's 2. As I thought, there's actually no LED cable for this. So the lights, which indicate whether the console's on or not, there's a ribbon cable that goes from the front all the way around to the side of the board and plugs in just here. But that's nowhere to be seen. So Lord only knows where that is. I also know that with these boards, these screws go in a little bit differently to the other ones because obviously it's a smaller board. Oh, lordy, lordy, lord. Okay, all right, nice. I'm looking forward to inspecting this. The only thing I can really see at the moment is the two big solder blobs that are just joined together, like a match made in ceremony, whatever you call it. That's a match made in heaven, Joey, not ceremony, you absolute egg. It's like I was saying a couple minutes ago, this is actually the smaller revision board of the PS5, and I feel like they were doing this in preparation for the PS5 Slim, because look how much extra space we've got over here and just around here. How's the liquid metal situation as well? I'm always intrigued. Liquid metal situation is good. If I'm being honest with you, it's bare, so there's not much on it, but it could have been a lot worse. I mean, looking at it a bit more now, it needed to be spread out a little bit more. Boards out of the chassis, let's take a look at this HDMI circuit. I'm gonna look at the back, because that's what I saw first. Okay, all right. Yeah, the situation we have here, usually when these two pads are joined, it's because they've ruined the conformal coating or the protection on the ground legs, and therefore it's exposed the board underneath, and therefore it just joins together. The diode is there, that diode's there, that resistor's there, and that cap's there. So the actual circuit on the back of the board, because that's where it is on this revision. Usually it's on the other side, on the older boards. Seems to be okay. We have a lot of flux in the area, so it needs cleaning up. Let's have a look at the front. So the board is, I don't know what kind of flux and stuff they've used here. What is that? Okay, so we have a cap here. Because this board is still relatively new, I'm not massively used to working on it. Is that layers of board or is that just plastic? I think that's just plastic. So traces and stuff look okay. So the listing stated that it might be a short on the actual HDMI retimer. To be honest with you, it looks like we have a few components missing, but I don't know if they're missing or whether it's meant to look like that. And the only reason I say that is because this cap here looks a little bit drunk and off center. So I've got a feeling that the tech who worked on this previously maybe has done something to this IC. Is there meant to be a cap here? Is there meant to be a cap here, cap here? I'm not too sure. Let's delve a little deeper, shall we? So we're a bit closer to the board now. It doesn't look like we're missing any components from what I can tell. And the question is that a factory HDMI IC? I believe so. Yeah, I think that's factory. So I don't think that it's been... yeah, I don't think that's been changed, personally. I could be wrong completely, but I don't think it's been changed. Also, I promise I'm not being horrible when I say this. I'm just doing it from my observations. But if the HDMI IC had been changed, I think we'd be seeing a lot more flux left over in this area. If you look at their work on the HDMI port, yeah, I think we'd be seeing a lot more flux around here. The thing is, we don't have any shorts, obviously, because the PlayStation stays on. If the HDMI retimer IC, which is this chip here, the Panasonic MN864739, if that was shorted, the PlayStation wouldn't be turning on. I genuinely think the issue we have is with the port. I'm just going to tilt it up. You can see that the ground legs are bare. Oh, we are missing a component here by the looks of it, right? Yeah, I think we are missing a component. Maybe that's the issue then. Is that a torn trace, or again, is that just plastic? I think that's just plastic covering the exposed trace there. So they said pinout was accurate for the port itself. I mean, that's loose there. That pin is loose. 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 That pin is slightly loose. That one's soldered. That one's soldered. That one's soldered. 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 Loose, I think. Soldered. So we've definitely got a few data lines that are loose. A mixture of data line and ground maybe. But this port needs to come off. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to tidy up the area. Should probably say before I do any of that, I'm just going to clean up this liquid metal. I should have actually done this already when I was just having a look at the board. There we go, that'll do nicely. Let's quickly just blast this port off and give it all a nice clean. Remember what this looks like before. Taking our multimeter and putting it into continuity mode, we are just going to check around here. So this is ground, perfect. All right. Just making sure we don't have anything we shouldn't, essentially. No, it seems to be all okay. I did want to check continuity from here to here. Okay, so that trace is fine. It just looks a little bit perished, but that's okay. This one also looks okay. This one looks fine. This one goes to here, all the way through. I don't know if we're meant to have a diode or something here I don't have a revision of this board, so I don't have any donors. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to replace this component, but I don't think that's going to matter too much if I'm being honest with you. Get rid of some of this leftover plastic, but obviously it looks 10 times better than what it did. We've got a little cap up here. I don't know whether that happened when I was cleaning or using the solder sucker. On my solder sucker, speaking of which, I've just replaced the end bit here, which is the silicon bit, and I didn't clamp the board down properly, which is why things might have been moving around. But it might have been I cleaned it when it was a little bit too hot, which I think is what happened. Just going to get the solder off of here and then re-tin everything up, get a new port on, and just go from there. Check all the connections and make sure we're all okay before we fully reassemble. Voiceover Joey stepping in here. The process that I usually like to use with the HDMI port is to flow the port in place, which is clearly what I've done, then go over it with a very fine tip to ensure that I have a solid connection between the port and the board. With my new Hakko soldering station, I still feel like I'm searching for the correct tip to be able to do this that produces enough heat at the end of the tip. At work, I use a Metcal soldering iron with a conical tip, and this produces enough heat for me to be able to do the job relatively easy and quick. I am thinking about buying the micro pencil extension for the Hakko FX951 to see if that makes a difference. I'm going to just leave this in here. You can see me struggling, but as always, I think it's best to keep it honest and real with you. That is the port finito. This is the back, which as you can see looks a lot better than what it did. I do think that there is a little bit of board that's come off here, so that's why these are joining, but very, very nice strong joints there. And we have all the components that we need on the back. Saying that, I'm not too sure if we're meant to have like a cap here maybe, because that looks like there should be a component. Diode cap, another diode, resistor, good. And this is the front of the port. All those pins look really, really strong. Look at the ground legs, really, really strong ground legs, which is good, that's what we want. Again, not too sure if we're meant to have a component here. This component was playing me up today massively, and then I had a quick tidy of just the area a bit down south. Now, one thing I'm gonna check before we go ahead and put this back together is that every single pin is solid. It is looking okay so far. And just because this wasn't my finest work, I'm also just going to grab a multimeter and make sure that we don't have any bridges unnecessarily, that is. Do it nice or do it twice. Good. Let's give it somewhat of a test and see what happens. Before we actually go ahead and test, I do want to see why the LED side of things isn't working, because it just doesn't have a ribbon cable. Look. So here's the board that does the LEDs, but we don't have a ribbon cable coming out from it. So I'm going to go and grab one quick and see if that works. We're just straight up replacing it with another one that I've got. Okay, fine. So there's a slight flaw to this in the fact that the ribbon cable here is too short to reach the board, because it needs to go around here and extend, but the connector for the LEDs is up here, and that clearly doesn't reach. And I don't want to do a botch job and do that, because then you obviously have the fan, etc., and it just wouldn't be good. So for testing purposes, I'll just plug it in, and we'll have to keep an eye on the actual board. So I've reassembled the console bare basics, okay? I've just plugged the fan in, but I haven't plugged in the LED strip, because the fan will be a good indication as well as the LEDs as to what exactly is going on. I've got the disk drive plugged in for obvious reasons. I want to make sure that the drive's actually okay. Obviously, just to make sure that it reads discs after last week's fiascos. From the state of that port, I'm actually pretty confident that it was just going to be the port. Everything's plugged in. I'm going to have to record on my phone. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. We get a beep. Fans going. LEDs on. Nice. Now, does that go to a white light is the question. You can see the blue on my hand. This is going to decide everything for us. Fan is still spinning, which is obviously good news. White light. There we go. Okay, so it is just a no display. Moment of truth. And for some reason, I have to go to HDMI 1 for it to go to HDMI 2. Do we get a display? Quite nervous, actually. Okay. Oh, let's just turn it off. HDMI 2, I didn't touch anything, so it's just automatically gone to it. Yes! Let's go! Okay, so we have a display. Let's give it the old wiggle test. Yeah, wicked. Okay, and I've disabled HDCP, so do we get an image on the Elgato? Yes. Does the disk drive work? I really hope it does. We don't have a disk in there, we know that already. Now this person already has Far Cry 6 installed, so I'm hoping it just picks up the disk and starts playing the game. How does it sound? Fine? Good? Oh God, what is that? Where's this door? Oh, I think it was because I had the fan next to it. Yeah, it's fine now. Okay. There we go. Yeah, it picks up the disc. Far Cry 6. Nice. I'm assuming that when the disc is actually under load, that's why it's whirring up and making quite a loud noise. All connected to the internet as well. As you can see, the downloads are now popping up in the top right. To be fair, before resetting, I should put it back together so that the fan can do its job. Okay, I've put the console back together. All I need to do now is replace the LED ribbon cable. Most of the places I've looked all have the LED ribbon cable for the older revisions, and they're selling it for about £2 to £3. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, just for a bit of a longer one, I'm gonna say £5. I know that was 10, but £5. I'm also happy that we inspected the fault, because if we went off what the seller said, I would have maybe just gone, right, let's change out the chip and see if that's working, but I'm glad we double checked everything before we did that. And again, huge thank you to the seller for the Haribo. With all that being said, let's head over to Sally's spectacular spreadsheet where we can have a look and see how much profit we've made in today's video. Cost of the console was £150. Looking at parts, you're talking £1 for the HDMI port and £5 for the LED ribbon cable, so we're going to say £6. And at this current moment in time, PlayStation 5 disc edition consoles seem to be going for around about £300 on their own on eBay, so not too bad at all. Let's see how much profit we've made. Today we are massively in the green with a gross profit of £123.30. We're on a little bit of a winning streak here. Adding it to the total profits, 1, 2, 3, 30, gives us an overall score of £315.85 in the positive. For me, this 3-win streak is looking a little bit too nice. The funny thing about this whole situation, not necessarily funny, but I could buy 2 broken PS5s, not be able to fix them, and that profit's gone, just like that. For obvious reasons, I'm really hoping that is not the case. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I'll leave the last episode to this series right up here, so go and check it out if you haven't seen it already. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.